Hello, good evening. This is a cautionary tale from which you should draw some conclusion about how you should conduct yourself and so on, that sort of stuff. And I read this a long time ago. I read this when I was about 21, I think, but I haven't learned it. I wrote it, but I haven't learned it. So I'm going to have to read it off the screen. And it goes like this. Arthur Brown went to the races and proceeded there to place his hard-earned money on the horse that was the fancy for the day. But the favourite limped and hobbled. It appeared he had been nobbled, and poor Arthur's hard-earned money went decidedly astray. Deliberation was employed among the stewards. Null and void, they said. The race should be declared because foul tactics have been used. So A.B. was not dismayed. He thought his stake would be repaid, as was the usual procedure when the issue was confused. But on Arthur's case reviewing, said the bookie, nothing doing. It is but your own misfortune that this was the horse you chose. So, bereft of satisfaction, Arthur Brown, a man of action, kicked the bookie on the ankle and then punched him on the nose. Up then puffed a fat policeman. Ah, disturber of the peace, man. Now it seems to me you are, he said, so kindly step this way. And poor Arthur was arrested, though he pleaded and protested, and confined inside a cell, he ended that unhappy day. When the sergeant brought his breakfast, Arthur's hand went to his neck last. Hearty meal the prisoner ate, he thought, and couldn't touch a crumb. Then hearing footsteps on the stairs, he said, I'd better say my prayers, because as far as I can see, my hour of reckoning is come. In the dock then stood poor Arthur, with the members of the bar, the clerks, the jury, and the public in the gallery on high. Anon the usher ordered stand, and with his papers in his hand, the judge ascended to the rostrum and fixed Arthur with his eye. There was a frown his brow adorning, for his lordship that same morning had arisen from the wrong side of his bed and stubbed his toe, and he sat and seemed to brood, and in the blackness of his mood he thought, I'll find this fellow guilty, or the reason why I'll know. Came the bookie to the stand, and said with raising of the hand, to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth is what I swear. Then, being out for Arthur's blood, he said, with due respect, me lud, the perpetrator of the outrage was the villain standing there. Now the judge looked to the front and said, I put it to you bluntly, can you seriously doubt this man is guilty of the crime? Then, objection, cried a witness. I must say I doubt your fitness to conduct a case that might result in this man's doing time. Now the judge was flabbergasted, because always in the past he'd had command of the respect that was his due, or so he thought, and he thus addressed the speaker, if I hear another squeak or word from you, I'll have you in the dock there for contempt of court. The verdict could not be in doubt. Now all was over bar the shout, for his lordship's mind was settled and could not be made to budge. And, as remarked the jury's foreman, on my part, though I abhor manipulation of the law, I must respect the learned judge. And though the jury in the court room are entitled to support and back whomever they desire upon the evidence preferred, the other members of the jury found the whole affair so spurious they slept throughout the hearing, so they never heard a word. Thus the verdict brought was guilty. Arthur Brown began to wilt he was a criminal, an outcast, for society to shun, and his crime had such dimension, there could be no mere suspension of his sentence or a fine, but only jail for what he'd done. Said the judge, "You stand convicted. It is found that you inflicted grievous harm upon the bookie, on his ankle and his nose. There can be no absolution, merely condign retribution. 7 days without the option is the sentence I impose." So the bookie was the victor. Said the judge, obiter dicta, "That reminds me that I need to get to Ladbrokes tutti sweet, for I've got a tip, a cert, and I'm inclined to bet my shirt in the 3:15 at Kempton on a nag that none can beat. But, shaken by this case so tragic, there can be no other adjective to qualify such gross miscarriage of the English law. Arthur Brown, by his transgression, learned a valuable lesson, and he never wasted money backing horses any more." The end.